everyone. I'm Raphael Marx from Penoyre and Prasad Arkitekter, which is a studio of Perkins and Will in London. Oriel is a joint project between ourselves, AECOM and White Arkitekter, which we won in competition in 2018. So sight, what a miraculous thing. Everything we do, the way we perceive the world, the way we navigate, and the way we understand it, is done primarily through our eyes. Yet what happens when our capacity to see is reduced or absent? This is Rhiannon. At the age of 8, she came to see Professor Penoyre, almost completely blind. Yet through his pioneering research at UCL's Institute of Ophthalmology and his subsequent surgery on her at Moorfields Eye Hospital, she was able to see again. He literally enabled a blind child to see. So this is a story about the power of science and medicine to develop and deliver pioneering eye treatments for the conditions that can afflict us all. And this is something Moorfields has been doing since 1805. This is their current site, is a collection of ragtag buildings where the patient experience is a collection of spaces, that labyrinthine corridors leading to dark waiting areas. And we heard many stories about technicians running from building to building in the rain, clutching boxes of engineered stem cells from their laboratories to the theatres. Yet despite the physical constraints, the two institutions are global leaders in ophthalmology. So imagine what they could do if they had better facilities. So Oriel is the ambition to create a new integrated eye care facility. Not just a hospital, the client consistently reminded us, but a place which will catalyze new ways of working. One that will enable the seamless transition of therapies from labs to first-in-human trials to clinical treatment. And one that will harness the collective experience and knowledge of not just clinicians and researchers, but of patients too. And it will engage with the public in its work and also become a lively place, a destination for the city. The site is in St Pancras, located within the King's Cross Knowledge Quarter, which will enable it to participate with other world-leading institutions, such as the Crick Institute, the Wellcome Trust, and Central St Martin's School of Art. It will also be better connected to the rest of the UK and also to the rest of the world. The site is set within the historic St Pancras Hospital, still with its original Victorian buildings and completely walled off from its surroundings. And to the south is St Pancras Gardens, a lush place where once stood the 4th century church of St Pancras for 1,000 years, and is currently the resting place of the famous architect Sir John Soane. And you can see by the railways and the canals that it has a rich industrial past. Yet the area is changing rapidly, with new developments emerging to the north and to the east. So what kind of typology could respond to the challenging brief and the rich site? The competition threw up many different ideas, such as the finger, the block, and the campus. Our idea was to create an atrium, inviting in the public realm, which flows through the building and creates maximum connections at the upper levels. 3 design drivers inform the design. The first is to create a magnetic new place. Oriel will take its place in the evolving heritage of the site. So drawing on the history whilst looking to the future, it aims to become an urban catalyst and through its architecture, literally create an identifiable and unique neighborhood. So to this end, our urban strategy opens up the site, creating a permeable, accessible, and car-free campus and making better connections through and into the neighborhood. And one of these connections goes through Oriel itself. And 2 public squares connect people coming from all directions, from the south, from King's Cross, and from the north, and collects people and forms civic settings for our building. And the public realm flows through the building and connects to the surrounding streets and spaces. And this is activated by retail units and cafes at each entrance, and by conference and education facilities and other public and patient-facing services on the ground and lower ground floor. And at the heart of the building is this atrium, a generous public space which welcomes everybody. It is here people can come, they can meet, they can hang out, and it also acts as a foyer to the rest of the building. And the atrium is also a place where Oriel engages with the public for its arts and science and show strategy. There's a curated program of temporary and permanent exhibitions, and people can come to Oriel to learn about science and medicine as they may go to the British or Science Museum. The second design driver is that of integration and collaboration. Oriel is all about breaking down silos and creating and promoting the cross-disciplinary collaboration. And in particular, it's about creating collaboration between patients and researchers and students and also the clinicians. And so a structure that we call the Oriel, which is almost like an embodiment of the idea of translational medicine, rises up through the atrium and collects all of the main vertical and horizontal circulation. And we've co-located waiting areas, staff touchdown space, and informal meeting points in order to foster those kind of water cooler moments and serendipitous chance encounters. The third idea is that of the adaptive building in line with a circular economy. Oriel's brief is highly innovative, embracing the inevitability of change. So the shell and core acts as a flexible rig. And there's a series of generic floor plates that can accommodate the wide range of different uses, from A&E to translational medicine and outpatients, from theatres to labs, and from education to admin and Cat 3 labs on the roof. And this flexibility will also allow the departments to flex as research priorities and clinical needs change over time. And actually, during the design process, the flexibility also enabled us to chop and change the different departments. There was continuous sort of moving around the different departments from floor to floor in order to find the best way of integration and collaboration. And we also looked at how this building could accommodate longer-term programmatic changes should it be needed to be changed into, say, an office, a student res, or even a hotel. In terms of organization, the building is designed as a pair of hands or wings embracing the public realm. These wings rise up either side to kind of create this atrium and are connected by bridges at either end. The Oriel rises up through the atrium, which in turn is topped by a glazed roof, which brings daylight deep down into the interior. And the massing has been carefully calibrated to respond to the lower scale of the historic city to the south and the emerging scale of the new developments to the north. And what about the patient experience? Many of these patients, at the core of Oriel's objectives is to create the best possible patient experience. This is so critical to improve on patient outcomes. Many of these patients are elderly or frail, as well as having they all have visual impairment, but there's many other comorbidities, such as dementia and also other neurodiverse conditions. So we worked with all of the patient groups and wider organizations to develop a wayfinding landscape and interior design strategy that engages with all the senses and creates a completely accessible place. And the use of tactile materials and high contrast surfaces will enable navigation into and around the building, and this will also be supplemented by digital technologies. And this is one of the views at the lower ground floor entrance, and the use of natural materials, plenty of daylighting, biophilia, and places to sit and to rest and to meet, we hope will create a healthy and healing environment for everyone. And Oriel is also about creating the best staff experience. It aims to attract and retain the best talent. So there are non-territorial staff areas on every floor at the bridges. And on the 6th floor, there's a large collaboration space which opens onto this roof terrace, which has amazing views over London. Now, buildings such as this, highly serviced with lab and health facilities, consume large amounts of energy. So reducing carbon is a complex challenge. But our passive design measures and fabric-first approach aims to reduce carbon use in the first instance. The atrium, for example, reduces the surface area to volume ratio whilst bringing daylight deep into the interior. And the facade has been optimized for thermal performance, daylighting, and solar control. And this is an all-electric building, so that as the grid decarbonizes, so will it. This is a building ready for a post-fossil fuel future. And finally, the facade, a key element of the design. Composed of 3 parts, it responds to both the urban and the street scale. Its orthogonal and standardized geometry contrasts with the curvilinear form of the building, and the syncopated rhythm of solid and void creates a playful pattern across its facade. And in line with the adaptive building, it's designed as a kit of parts with elements such as louvers and glazing panels that can be changed and replaced as the internal fit-out might change. So sometimes like plant might come in where there are consulting rooms, and sometimes labs may change. So the facade can chop and change as the interiors change as well. And this is a sort of image of the various different configurations that can take place. And you can see the sculpted ceramic tiling is the patterning on that is based on the visible spectrum of the electromagnetic waves. And the facade is inspired by the Moorfields motto, Fiat Lux, which means let there be light. The modeling will create an ever-changing play of shadows and light during the day. And the color and materiality of the bronzed aluminium fins and opalescent ceramic tiles will draws on the heritage of the area. It will contrast and complement the Victorian brickwork and traditional faience detailing. So we believe Oriel will be a facility like no other. It is deeply rooted in place, but also a catalyst for change. It will be an environment for innovation to flourish, where the whole community of those involved in eye care, the scientists, the clinicians, the students, and the patients, will be involved in developing new eye care and treatments. And we hope that in the future, children like Rhiannon will come to Oriel, not only to be treated with the latest in eye care treatments, but to be inspired and energized to participate in the evolving story of health and science. Thank you.